All right, Mike.
All right, so yesterday, Bleacher Report put out its list of the top 10 pass rush units in the NFL entering the 2024 season after the first week, or first 10 days really, of free agency. And this is who Bleacher Report put in their top 10. We'll start at 10. We'll work our way down to 1. At 10, the Houston Texans. 9, the Raiders. 8, Jets. 7, Colts. 6, Eagles. And the top 5 includes 3 AFC North teams, the Bengals at 5, the Bills at 4, the 49ers at 3, the Steelers at 2, and the Cleveland Browns, number 1, as the best pass rush unit in the entire NFL. Bull, do you agree with Bleacher Report's assessment? The Browns have the best pass rush in the entire NFL.
I would be disingenuous if I said for sure I agree, because I don't know every other team's pass rush well enough to be sure about that. But I certainly think they belong in the conversation, and I'm not surprised that they were number 1, because obviously Myles Garrett's as good as anybody. Now, I'm not as confident in Za'Darius Smith as others are, but like Earl, who mentioned him earlier, I really like what I saw from Alex Wright at the end of last year. I thought he made a pretty big jump when he got a chance to play late, and he made some impact in a number of games. So while I'm nervous about Za'Darius Smith being a big factor, I think Alex Wright, while Za'Darius goes down a little, Alex Wright goes up. I think Ogbo is one of these guys who's going to be just continue to be like a steady third guy. And, JOK showed you last year that he could be a factor as well. And, in the middle, they got some guys, not a great pass rusher at defensive tackle. But I'm forgetting the name of the guy they signed from the Jets.
Quentin Jefferson.
Thank you. He can get to the quarterback a little bit, so they've improved there. And even Hurst, if he's healthy, is not bad either. So, yeah, I mean, on paper, without knowing the other teams as well as I know the Browns and the Bengals, yeah, I think the Browns probably should be number 1.
So for me, my hometown homerism bias was like, you damn right.
Yeah, right.
But to your point, I took the you damn right to just damn right. Because I got to go damn right because I don't know the other team's moves, the additions and the players that they lost. But the Browns didn't lose anybody that played a significant role as far as production-wise on the defensive line last year. And then you add a guy like Quentin Jefferson. Myles Garrett, like as you noted, anchors this defensive line. The reigning defensive player of the year, was the top graded, had the top grade via pass rush according to PFF. And then Za'Darius Smith, the sack numbers wasn't there, but he did have 60 pressures. And his pass rush grade was top 8. You look at the interior of the line, Hurst, Harris, and Tomlinson, all of those dudes finished with a pass rush grade of between 75 and 72. It's not the best, but it's not the worst that you've seen at all. And you put that together with the addition of Quentin Jefferson, who had like a 75.3 pass rush grade itself, then yeah, I can see why the Cleveland Browns will be considered the number 1 overall pass rush team in the NFL. And if they're not number 1, they're definitely in the conversation for top 2 or 3.
Ultimately, it really doesn't matter if they're number 1. It only matters if you're in the conversation.
Right.
Because whether you're 2 or 3 or 1, you're really good.
Just be in the conversation.
In the end, it doesn't matter. Who's number 1. It's an opinion, but go ahead.
I personally wouldn't have put them as number 1.
Who would you put number 1?
I mean, I would literally go off of last year. Baltimore had led the league in sacks, and it was by a wide margin.
Yeah, but you can't just go by last year. Some guys don't put up the same numbers year to year. Why were the Ravens dropped out of the top 10? That's weird.
That's what's
they didn't lose any defensive linemen, did they?
Well, Clowney hasn't re-signed yet.
Oh, okay.
And Kyle Van Noy, and I don't know the answer. I didn't write the article, but Kyle Van Noy had 6 or 7 sacks for them. He was signed in like week 3, and he's an older player that I think probably pretty unlikely he replicates that.
Right, but to go from, I could see if they dropped them like 5.
They
not even being in the top 10.
That's crazy.
I didn't make it. I'm just telling you what I think they did.
Yeah, here were the sack leaders last year by team. The Ravens led with 60.
Was it a significant drop?
No. The Chiefs were second with 57.
Okay.
The Dolphins third with 56. The Bills were fourth with 51, and then the Bills were fourth with 54. and then the Colts were 5th with 51.
See, and don't get me wrong, sacks is not the end-all, be-all when it comes to rush. You got to go with, like, quarterback pressures and stuff like that, make them get rid of the ball, hurries and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, I think the Browns is definitely up there for sure. I mean, since Jim Schwartz came in there, they, at the beginning of the season, they were unbelievable at, at least getting the quarterback to move or getting an effective pass rush. So I see why they can be up there at number one or close to number one or whatever you want to say. But like Pittsburgh's D-line is good. They added Patrick Queen. They added some stuff there that's really good as well. I'm with y'all. I'm not going to necessarily say that they number one, but they definitely in the top 2, top 3 for sure.
Let me play devil's advocate a little bit because I agree with everything you just said. What if they have the Browns number one? Because all of these other defenses, Baltimore will be going into a new defensive system. They lost their DC last year.
That's true. It's a good point.
But the way I had it, they might have looked at the Cleveland Browns last year and said, damn, they produced this level in year one in this defense. Mm-hmm. Now they got all these dudes coming back, and they're going into year 2 of this defense. Mm-hmm. So maybe that was the thinking behind ranking the Cleveland Browns number one.
Right.
And then the Ravens did lose their defensive coordinator. They do have some dudes that's still unsigned, and they lost Patrick Queen. And unlike the Cleveland Browns to where the linebackers are not really highlighted like that as far as, pass rushers, that might be the case with the Baltimore Ravens. And losing Patrick Queen could hurt.
Quick,
go ahead, Mike.
From Bleacher Report, they actually had a second article of why 3 teams didn't make the list.
Oh, okay.
Baltimore, Dallas, and the Chargers. You want me to read the quick little blurb
Sure.
on each of them? So for Baltimore, this is from the Bleacher Report article. The Ravens led the NFL in sacks last season and managed to re-sign Justin Madubuike, who led the team in the metric. However, Clowney and Kyle Van Noy ranked 2nd and 3rd respectively for Baltimore, and neither is currently under contract with the club. That's 18.5 sacks they haven't replaced, and that doesn't include the 3.5 that Patrick Queen contributed, and now he's in Pittsburgh. The team also lost their defensive coordinator. So bringing back the defensive tackle was a good move, but overall the team's pass rush took a hit.
Yeah, between those 3 guys, you're talking over a third of their sacks.
Yeah.
I think that adds up to 21 or 22.
21
of
and a
their
half,
60
those
sacks.
3.
So that's now they still may bring those guys back, and maybe it's different. But when you're doing an article like this, first of all, it's just probably one person's opinion. Maybe it's a couple of guys, I don't know. But
It was written by Matt Holder.
Yeah,
just Matt
some
Holder.
random dude from Bleacher Report. You're trying to project ahead.
Yeah.
If you're going to just do it based on last year, what's the point of having a list? But I was surprised that the Bengals were that high because they didn't have obviously Hendrickson's an excellent pass rusher, but nobody else was a really good. Sam Hubbard's a good run-stopping defensive end, but he's not much of a pass rusher. He was hurt last year. But they did add Rankins, who's a really good.
Do you want to hear the
pass
Bengals' little
rusher
write-up?
for a D tackle? Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
Since signing with the team 3 years ago, Trey Hendrickson has been nothing short of spectacular. He's racked up 39.5 sacks, including a career-high 17.5 last season, and has made the Pro Bowl in all 3. He consistently puts pressure on the quarterback and has helped from a great edge duo with Sam Hubbard. The Cincinnati native has gotten to the quarterback 20 times over the last 3 years and was second on the team with 6 sacks in only 15 games. That's a pretty good production coming from the club's second pass rusher. B.J. Hill has also been a quality pass rusher. He posted 13 sacks during that time frame. According to Pro Football Focus, the 6-year veteran also added 14 quarterback hits and was consistently in the opponent's backfield. And then there's Rankins. The free agent signing had 6 sacks in Houston last season and gives Cincinnati 4 pass rushers, 2 on the inside, 2 on the edge, that opponents must account for.
What's the rotational pass rusher you guys drafted from Texas a couple years ago?
The guy that pushed Mahomes out
Osai.
of bounds.
I like him.
Yeah, he was in the doghouse last year, but I liked him too.
I like him.
Still can't believe that
and
play.
Another reason
I was so pissed about that.
Another reason I can't put the Browns at number one is because when they needed it the most in the playoffs,
that's fair.
Like towards the end of the season, it kind of just disappeared.
That's fair.
So I think that you got to show up in those big moments.
That's true. Although the Ravens